and welcome to the Nerdium. I'm your host, EP. I'm so happy that everybody is here with us today. Great show. My usual co-host, Matt, is going to be back, and I have a special guest, the most special guest I've ever had on the show, the producer and director of the show, Maurice.
Hey!
Did you like the intro?
I love the intro.
Nice.
Love the fact that you actually given me the honor and the opportunity to be able to be on your show.
Yeah.
And being able to sit up here, being in the midst of everything.
You see how it feels like?
Yeah,
it's cold out here, ain't it?
It is. It's crazy because we developed the show together, and we put together this whole set, this whole gimmick, and all that good stuff and everything. And episode after episode, I'm always on the other side, kind of watching the way how things kind of come to play and play out. But now sitting actually in this world, in this universe,
the purple lights, everything around you. And I mean,
feels
funny,
nice.
We are coming up on a year. The Nerdium started October of last year, so it's been, and I mean, the changes. This is an entirely different set. It's season 2, so
yeah, it's a whole different look. It's really exciting that we have completed an entire year. Of the show. We've gone through a lot of experiences, great experiences with different bands, guests, creatives, artists. The list goes on and on. And so when you asked me to be a part of this, this actually is very fitting because of the timing.
And you know what was funny? Me and you knew each other for a long time before we actually knew each other.
Yeah.
And that was the funniest thing. I was like, I have an idea. And Maurice, you be everywhere doing everything. And I was like, surely this guy will like it. He was just like, that sounds like a great idea. Let's do that.
Let me tell you, when you pitched the idea of the Nerdium, it was coming at a time because it was so perfect in terms of the way how it worked out, because it came at a time when I was already looking for new programming. I was looking for we need something new, we need something fresh, something different. And so I was kind of at that time, I was kind of brainstorming ideas of what else we can do and kind of seeing what was out there. So when you hit me up and you were like, "Hey, I want to run this idea past you," it's a whole show that covers everything when it comes to nerd topics, when it comes to blurred topics, when it comes to just the nerd culture. I was like, "This is a godsend. This is an absolute godsend. It can't be any more perfect."
And it was something. It was an idea that I was sitting on for a while. I was like, I don't know how to even execute it, finding people in the nerd community, which starting this show, I mean, the people came out of nowhere. I was like, because in Chicago, which is where the Nerdium is at, I feel like y'all know that. We're in Chicago. The nerd community here is big, and at the same time, you don't know where it's at.
Right.
So you see stuff like Anime Midwest happening, and we do have a Chicago Comic-Con here. That's the only time you see these people. So I was like, there got to be these people everywhere, artists, people who creating stuff. So I feel like this has been a journey.
And that's the things that you have a really great sense in terms of how to be able to tap into this segment of the culture as well, because like you said, you brought up a great point. They're everywhere, but you don't know where, until you actually kind of put out the proverbial bait that's out there, and then people will be able to kind of show up as they have been for you, showing up in your inbox, letting hey, I do this, I do that, I'm an artist, I have a band, all that, and it's really, and the thing is though, it's it's a niche group, but it's not really niche at the same time. It's more kind of it's undercover.
Subculture.
Yeah, subculture. Yeah, perfect.
And it's one of those things where when it comes to the nerd community, especially the Black nerd community,
yes,
I will never say that it's new, but it's more accepted now to be somebody who cosplay, to be somebody who likes anime. So it's a newer thing and kind of get people to the forefront, where have you been at?
Yeah,
there's a safe space for it. Yeah. So that's what kind of made the show unique in itself, because you don't get a chance to see these people outside of one day a year or Halloween or something.
That's so true that they are out there. I'm gonna give you an example. This was many years ago. This is back in '06. There was a show that was on the black radio station WGCI here in Chicago. It came on every Sunday morning, and it was called Sports Talk. And every Sunday morning they would like kind of like just talk about like what's going on with the White Sox, Bears, Bulls, and all that good stuff and everything. Like just sports talk. And it was a call-in show. And you would have like some people call in once in a while. Typically it was like the same people who were calling in every week or whatever like that, But there was one Sunday, I'll never forget it. It was a Sunday of WrestleMania 22. And I was in the kitchen, I was listening to sports talk, and I was going to the show that night anyway. But I was listening to the show. I was washing dishes and all that stuff and everything, cleaning up, just do my Sunday regulars, right? And at the very end of the show, they were saying one of the hosts, he brought up that tonight was WrestleMania, and he's like, I'm excited about it. And the other hosts were like, don't nobody watch wrestling no more. Get out of here with that. He's like, nah, man, I'll tell you, people watch it. When he said that, everybody and their mama started calling in saying, I'm watching it too. I'm watching it too. I'm watching it too. And it blew my mind because I'm like, I never really seen this response from black wrestling fans here in Chicago. But the moment he put that bait out there saying, I'm watching WrestleMania tonight, everybody was calling in saying that they were too. And I never heard that many calls on the episode before. And that's what I'm saying. It's out there. You just got to put it out there. That's what you've been doing.
And exactly, because I used to love her. You said 06. I was like in the 8th grade at the time. So I remember I loved wrestling.
Yes.
Particularly because I liked it when The Rock had hair still.
Yeah.
Back when he was on it. And I used to love D-Generation X. My favorite ones was, because I feel like one recently passed away too. And that's what kind of like triggered this memory. It was, well, wait, I don't want to misquote this, but it was the Hardy Brothers, and I really loved them when they had Lita with them.
Yeah.
I used to really love that, and I remember watching that because we used to watch, what was it, Monday night? It was Monday Raw, and then SmackDown came on.
Back in the day, it came on Thursdays. Now it comes on Fridays.
Okay, so it was probably Thursday when I was watching it.
Sure, yeah.
And I used to sit there and I used to love it, and Rock'em Sock'em. It's like it starts to like unlock memories of it, like the Rock'em Sock'em connection.
Yeah, him and Mick Foley.
Oh, Mick Foley.
Yeah.
I follow him on Twitter still.
The Undertaker, Kane.
And that's when they was all like first. I remember what was the? It was the group, and it was always like a running joke where they had like their protection service.
Oh, the APA.
And you had to walk through that door, even though
there were no walls.
There was nothing, but they would not speak to you unless you walk through that door.
If you went around the door, they're like, "Now you know what to do." And they're, "Oh, I'm sorry." They'll go back and they'll go through the door.
And their biggest beef was always with Chris. What was it, Chris Angle?
Kurt Angle.
Kurt Angle.
Yeah.
Because he would never use that door. So.
Oh man.
And I feel like that's the thing. Like, I feel like a lot of people don't know. Like, I'm not supposed to. I'm black. I can't like this.
Right,
I'm black. I can't live in this fantasy world. I can't be in this video game. And it's like when you put it out there, like, I also like that.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we all clock out of somewhere and want to relax doing something.
Right.
So, and that's what I really like about the show. And me and you sat here and we kind of brainstormed it, went back and forth about the logo. Yeah. Brittany has been on the show who made the logo.
Shout out to Brittany Galloway. Absolutely.
Yeah, she was a lot of fun. She's the most adorable, awkward person. I was like, I love this. So,
but what you said though, I'm sorry to interrupt, but what you said though is really interesting, and it's very pertinent as well too, where it's for so long, and I know I'm older than you, but I know that back when I was in 8th grade myself, if you were black,
was that in the 90s?
Yeah, 90s. Yeah. 95, 94, 95. You probably weren't even. Yeah, you weren't even here yet.
I was here. I was like 2.
I was barely here. You know what I mean?
But I was. Whole mic fail.
All right. But that's the thing though, is that like back then, if you were black and you liked comic books, you liked pro wrestling, you liked anime, you like these outlets. it was so frowned upon us because it was some very weird code that was existing back then, where if you're black, you had to follow these guidelines, you had to check off these boxes and everything. And if you were coloring outside the lines, and what the heck is wrong with you, And it's like, and I love the fact that, like, collectively, like, from a society standpoint, we really have graduated away from that stigma. There are a number of black nerd culture groups that are out there on social media, and it's like, you really do find the people that you really link up with. There's a group on Facebook that I run called the Make Hard Mess. And for the majority of that group, I would say a good 80% of the group are all black wrestling fans, and that wasn't on purpose. That just organically happened. You know what I mean? And it's all, and that's one. But it's like you find your people, like when you're in these subcultures that we're talking about. And I love the fact that now we don't have to deal with the mess that I was dealing with back in '95 does not exist for the 8th graders, the 9th graders, the 10th graders today, because now it's so wholly embraced.
It is, and it was a big stigma when you was a nerd. Obviously, you was a virgin. You didn't have friends. You was weird, and it's just like we've made it to a point where being a nerd is actually trendy and fashionable now. It's like so accepted where you can debate people about anime. So I've always grown up just loving anime.
Yeah.
So when I was in high school, I was considered weird because I liked anime. I was too old to like cartoons. And I still have people now say, because I had a coworker recently ask me, like, Liz, why do you like those cartoons, those fighting cartoons? And that's how she worded it. And it made me laugh because I was used to people saying it like that to me. And I was like, well, you can learn a lot from an anime. And I had showed her one clip from my absolute favorite anime, and that's Dragon Ball Z, the original one. And it was a part where Goku was fighting Cell. And Goku pretty much he could have beat Cell. Goku let himself die because he wanted to make a point, like, I'm not going to be here forever. Y'all got to learn how to do it. It was like him passing the torch to Gohan.
Really?
And later on, Goku admitted, I could always beat Cell. Even in his perfect form, I was stronger than him. I chose to die so that way Gohan can do it. Somebody else can do it.
Interesting.
And when he was fighting Cell, Gohan was like, I'm about to die doing this. Like, I can't beat him. He's too, like, overpowered. And Goku was just like, I sat there and did that because I wanted to believe in you, and I wanted to give you something to believe in. And I'd be like, it's messages like that that you can get out of anime that you won't get out of your basic cartoon, because they have a lot of deep meanings, a lot of deep metaphors in it. And that was the first time, that was my favorite, the Cell Saga, best one. And when Goku was kind of explaining that to him, like, through your life, I can believe in you as much as I want to, but I need you to believe in you so you can actually accomplish something, because I didn't make it here with the help of everybody. I'm the world's strongest because I believe that I was the world's strongest. And I was just like, that right there. Talking to somebody about that when I was in high school in like 09, 08, I was weird.
Right, yeah. And you probably didn't have anyone to be able to discuss that with. Or if you did, it was a very small pool of people.
It was a very, honestly, it was me and my brother at the time.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't really know anybody in high school who really liked anime like that. It was, at the time, it was just us. And I started watching it. Of course, I feel like half of us started at Toonami. Even though a lot of people act like they didn't. Toonami, and then rest in peace, G4 TV.
Oh, G4, yes. Oh my God. And you know, and it's I'm glad you brought G4 up, because you know, that was one of the variables that I thought of when you were pitching this and when we were developing this show together, was that how perfect if G4 was still around. G4, I'm talking about the G4 back in the day, like, you know, the OG G4. If that was still around the way how it was, how hand to glove of a perfect fit, this show would have been for that. You know what I mean? And I think that that's what's really great about right now is that, you know, we live in a time where, you know, we don't have to wait for something to be created. We can do it ourselves. Like, we create what we want to see. And so it's like, this is an opportunity for, you know, us to be able to see, like, you know, because think about it, if you, let's picture you in 6th grade having a show to come home to every day where you can actually watch a talk show where people are talking about the interests that you have with video games, with anime, you know, all the good stuff and everything, and have that as a resource. Like, that would be like, that would be gold. That would be a gold mine to you, you know?
As when the younger you are too, stuff like that is important, because if somebody ever say representation does not, it does, because you sit there and think like, it couldn't just be me in the world who likes this thing.
Right.
And to get a platform where people can see, we all like this thing. A lot of us like this thing. It's not socially acceptable to say,
right, but
we like this thing. So yes, G4 TV.
Absolutely. There was a show that was back in the day. I know this is way before you, because I was in 5th grade when this came out. There was a show that was on back in the day. It was called Video Power. I highly recommend that you look it up on YouTube. And it was a TV show dedicated to nothing but video games. And so they would do video game trivia. They would talk to, like, you know, like maybe game developers. They would have kids on there, and they would talk about like their favorite video games. And the way the show ended every episode was like, because it was kind of like, you know, like Double Dare, where they would, like, you know, ask a whole bunch of questions, and you got like the video game trivia questions right, that you got points or whatever like that. So if you got the most points, what you did, you had the opportunity to run through like this big area, and this area was kind of like a maze almost. It looked like actually like a video store, like a video store, like a Blockbuster, and they had games on the shelves. And so you had 30 seconds to run through it, grab as many games as you possibly could. So it was all like Nintendo games, Sega Genesis games, Game Gear, the Super Soaker, not Super Soaker, the Super Nintendo Scope or whatever like that. And just grab it there, and whatever you grab, you got to keep. And so watching that, you like, as a kid, you're freaking like, it's so awesome, whatever. And that's what I'm saying.
It is though.
It's so dope. I highly recommend you look it up. And that's what I'm saying. It's like, you know, with us having this opportunity to be able to create something, to be able to even come close to emulating something like that, where it's fun, but at the same time it's very relatable, and it's like, you're talking to me, it's like it's perfect. You know what I mean? It's so perfect. So I'm extremely excited about, like, you know, like you celebrating 1 year of this. This road has been nothing but fruitful for us, because we've grown so much and significantly from this road, and from this and from this journey and everything. And it's only up from here. It's only up from here.
It is. Maurice, I am so appreciative that you wanted to get on a set for the first time, get out of that room. We got you out of your box on the stage, under the purple lights, and I'm happy that you did it. Up next, we are going to get our usual co-host out here, Matt. So you guys stay tuned, and we'll be right back with more Nerdium.
And real quick, check us out. Check out B-Side Studios on YouTube. Check out our website, bsidestudios.net as well too. But yeah, I highly recommend. I highly suggest you subscribe to our YouTube channel, so you can see everything as far as, like, you know, old episodes of the Nerdium, new episodes of the Nerdium, Buzz and Bizzle, Sippin' and Trippin', Delish and Dior, all 606 Mania, all of our shows that we have going on, Mentality. So yeah, check out what we have. We have something for everybody, so you guys will love it. But yes, absolutely stay in tune for the next segment of the Nerdium. My man Matt's gonna be sitting here in the hot seat, and we'll see y'all in a little bit. All right,
stay tuned. Welcome back to the Nerdium. Liz, first of all, Maurice, the director and producer of the Nerdium, was previously on, so make sure you guys look at the whole episode so you can actually hear a lot of behind the scenes on how all of this started. Right now, I have my favorite person in the world, Matt, here.
Don't mind my kind of sour look. Maurice was talking, bringing up like old memories. The show really touched bases on just me growing up as a kid being kind of ostracized as the black sheep for liking anime.
Yeah.
So,
and I mean, I feel like that happened with a lot of us, especially like, I hate to be the one to say it, but us millennials kind of caught the short end of the stick of being nerds.
yeah.
That Gen Z kind of gets more of a relax because we kind of fought the battle for y'all to actually be able to enjoy it.
Enjoy the spoils after the war. Like, yeah.
Because it was a lot being a kid and being considered weird for just
Being different.
being different, considered different. And I mean, maybe that was the good thing. You got to be on the outside looking in to kind of see, like, I don't want to be like those people in the first place.
But now I'm like a rapper with tattoos, so a younger me would have been like, yo, what's up?
A younger you would think you now was cool.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm like when it comes to it. And I mean, me and you get real into anime. I get into comics and all those more than you.
I get into video games more than you, though.
That's a lie.
You like to play like horror type games, and she's the funniest when she's playing a horror game, because it's not going to be what someone is expecting someone to do. It's going to be a walk up, had a body language to somebody that's like, I don't do no ghost, and then like back up. So you like go walk forward, like pick up the.
Me, you, and our daughter. We have a daughter. We was playing Outlast, and Outlast is already creepy as hell in general.
She
never made it in like the building.
She didn't want to turn on the flashlight. She didn't want to do anything because everything seemed too scary. And I'm like, you can't even play the game.
Outlast is one of those games where it has jump scares.
I was out there laughing at them play the game, not even the actual game. So
oh god, the worst game jump scare that I've recently had is when we was playing Resident Evil 3 remake, and there's a scene when Jill is climbing out of the sewer and then it just grabs her whole head. And it was
palmed her face like a basketball.
I had to pause the whole game for a moment. Like, this is intense. But I feel like me and you both like games, but we like them in different mediums. Like I recently played Stray. I like indie games like that. You have
to be a cat,
which was a pleasure and an honor to be able to play that cat.
Yes.
I got the achievement for meowing 100 times. I meowed at everything.
But you don't like our cats for doing it like too much, like,
because what do you need?
Where's the line?
What do you need?
You want to be them, you just don't want to live their life. It's like the whole world and those anime nerds.
Has to be top tier of existing. It would have to be.
I mean,
better than a dog for sure.
You gotta lick all your whole self. So like, imagine if you get old and you can barely like bend down. So now you like, I guess I'm just gonna be stanky today.
I mean, that's what happens to old cats. You got to start like getting them groomed because they can't reach the back of their neck. No, they can't reach the back of their neck. But I played Stray. I love Stray though. What I hate about indie games is that they're short. I was telling you, if I had enough time to just sit down, I could have beat that game in a day in maybe like 4 or 5 hours.
But then there's some indie games that are just so hard, you were looking at yourself like, were they on crack when they made this? Do I have to achieve a new level just to play this? And that's Shadowrunner right there.
I mean, that game, from seeing that game, it seemed like it's all timing.
Yeah.
The hardest game.
So imagine the ADHD. And now you need timing, you need patience.
And that's
like
some games are just like that,
trying to double dutch like you a manual
car.
car.
We was playing Cuphead. Yeah, Cuphead is the hardest game ever made, and I flipped that game. But me and you never beat that one boss because Cuphead has a DLC where you get to play Chalice, and there's one where you're like on the wings of an airplane and then it goes upside down and you have to play it upside, and I can't.
The airplane ones I was fine at because I'm very, you got
ADHD.
Aviator type. I thrive when there's a whole lot of chaos going around in the screen. So when you mentioned Super Smash Bros, that was fine for me, but it was all the phasing that everybody was doing, which I do not stop doing on Brawlhalla.
And that's why I'm like, Brawlhalla is a lot better because in Super Smash it gets congested. You can pick up a Pokeball and the Pokeball will hurt you when it hits you, and there'll be a Pokemon that come up, and while that Pokemon is hitting you, then the enemy can actually hit. Like, it's too much, and I feel like a lot of people kind of make it to the point where they may not necessarily be good at it, but they'll throw everything at you.
There is different points where you can find similarities between the two, because if you're talking Brawlhalla, you're talking more countries are going to be aware of it versus just your local play. You're going to have people from Japan, from North America, from Europe. You're going to have people playing at every point of the night where their server is crashing almost every week because there's so many people that are jumping on this. And then when you have taunting, that is the most funniest thing because
Super Smash Brothers isn't online.
It's online and it's across platforms. It's everywhere, but it's gonna be more so your commercial characters, your people that you're aware of, the people that you've searched for and had different things that happen with them. All Brawlhalla has is characters that they made, cross-platform characters. Like if you got Walking Dead and you like Daryl or Michonne, you can customize
Brawlhalla
the skins.
Exactly does have. Brawlhalla is very.
It's very like intricate towards the details, which characters you use. If you're playing on the side platform play, that's going to be a lot more advanced. So no discredit towards Maurice for playing on the ground, but once you make it past like level 30 on one character and you're good enough that you know what their up B does, what their down B, what their up B to get inside the ring does again, and I could sound like I'm talking Spanish towards you for all the things that
Maurice was playing on the ground.
Like, he only prefers fighting games where you're on the ground.
Oh, like so actual, because I mean,
like,
those are like
Mortal Kombat, but you have those levels of.
I mean that because there's actually terms for them because there are different styles of fighting games. The one Brawlhalla and like Smash Brothers, those are massive multiplayer online fighting games.
So MMO
versus, like that word, but versus just massive multiplayer online game is just an F in there because it's a fighting game. Versus an actual fighting game like Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat.
Say actual fighting game, that's lucrative because there's so many out there where it determines and requires you to be more than what's standard and what's basic. And I'm saying
what those are is like the standard. Like Mortal Kombat is always a good example because there's a new Mortal Kombat out and I feel like everybody knows what that one is. Mortal Kombat would be like the standard. Everything else would branch from it. So yeah, that's the type of fighting game. I like those fighting games honestly more too. That's an actual fighting game versus an online fighting game. Because it is. It's an actual one.
We can debate this all day because if you're telling me you grew up in an era with Mortal Kombat, you grew up with fatality, finish them, you have to button mash to get a combination just to get something.
You can also get an animality.
That is your own era fighting game. There is different levels to progress and different futuristic terms of the same thing. That's why Mortal Kombat never stayed the way it was. Because
Mortal Kombat has consistently never changed.
What I'm saying is, if it never changed, then you would still get the same 2-bit characters waiting to fight like this and do like this.
Graphics have changed. Concept has never. Mortal Kombat is such a. Now, I can't sit here and say it's the first because it's not. But Mortal Kombat is such the blueprint of it.
So, picture me this or riddle me this. Why didn't you use Mortal Kombat as the basis for what Brawlhalla was, but you use Super Smash Bros?
Because they're not the same thing.
So when I say that you have a fighting game, but the fighting games that I lean more so towards, you can have Mortal Kombat and get games like Demon Slayer. You can get games like your Switch Tag Battle, where you have specific characters that pop in as secondaries to aid your fight.
And you see that right there.
Or you could have that same person just fighting the whole time. When they get knocked out, they come back the same way. They can taunt, they can do whatever, but you know you're fighting the same thing.
And you see, that's the difference. So the way you mentioned Demon Slayer, that game, that comes from the first time a game like that pops up where you have those secondary characters, and people can always correct me when I'm wrong. That came from Dragon Ball, I think it was Budokai 2.
I'm mature, but that name is just hilarious.
It was either Dragon Ball Z Budokai 2 or Dragon Ball It was like Tenkaichi, because it's so, I don't like fighting games like that, because that circular type of thing that you can do on your map, I don't like that. Versus on Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter.
What do you mean?
It's like you can circle.
Like at an amusement park, that little turnstile table?
That's what it feels like to me. It's like you can circle about the level. Instead of us just being two characters in front of each other fighting, as, here we go here, as this is, it's like they're in front of each other. But once they start moving everywhere, and now I'm in the back of the map, the front of it, I kind of hate that.
Then your conversation is already flawed, because Brawlhalla stays at a fixed point of the stage.
No one's comparing Brawlhalla to anything.
Oh, okay, yeah, sure.
You just want to defend that.
I'm not. It's a great game.
When it comes to Brawlhalla, it has a Super Smash Brother online feel to it.
Which I've played in, what is that called? Online competitions. So if anybody wants to check me out, you know.
What's your gamer tag?
At Deadeye Might. So it's like DEADI and then mate, because it sounds like good eye might, but I got a dead eye. I'm so glad you asked. Yeah.
Mine is King Beanie with a bunch of numbers. I didn't pick that. It was picked for me. My original gamer tag was Lady Velvet. Great name. Tried to change it back. Xbox charged you $10. Change the name.
Yeah, your new name's kind of a little bit controversial if you're not like a Zillennial. What are they called? Gen Z?
Oh, is that what it stands for? Zoo?
I call them Zillennials because we're millennials.
I don't
got
know.
More prehistoric type responses towards things.
I don't know.
Honestly, stop that.
Gen Z, they're a little bit more high wired they're a little bit more. I appreciate them because they.
But can you not sit here and think of a time where we had our last generation talking about us?
Baby boomers
recycled about
they was fed up with
the
us.
next generation.
You want to know what baby boomers
irritation
was particularly done with us is when we had like Panic at the Disco and Fallout. The amount of times I hear that's not real rock. The 80s had real rock. Leave me alone.
God. If we start talking about music, this conversation will go forever. Because
I feel like it's
tell me, how do you like the metal music in anime? Do you love the metal, or do you like just animation themed to go and find more music, or are you heavily into metal? Because
I like anime that has
that's
metal.
A black sheep thing too.
I actually really like it. Just like we watched that one anime, I always call it Mashley, but I know that's wrong.
It's like Mash.
His name was Mash in it. It was a lot of hip hop in that anime. Mm-hmm. Every time where he would start to very blandly and uninterestedly fight, it was a lot of like hip hop. And I mean, that's honestly a thing.
It gave me like Cowboy Bebop. It gave me like Samurai Champloo. It gave me.
You start to see
Afro
cultures.
Samurai. Exactly. Like
cultures start to actually mix.
And they start to mesh in the best ways. You're like, I really like this.
And
or
you know,
in gangsta.
That's honestly a thing there. We was talking about at one point how a lot of people didn't accept anime or like that nerd culture. You start to see people who are Lil Wayne, Meg Thee Stallion. You start to see people in the black community actually embrace it and start to rap about it. So it makes other people feel like, hey, Meg Thee Stallion, she a baddie and she likes it, so it's cool for me to like it too.
You got Denzel Curry, who's been rapping about being a Super Saiyan since he has came out. You got Lil Uzi Vert that has Super Saiyan on it.
Yeah.
Like,
but I mean, you know, I'm so happy that I got to talk to you.
For sure.
Maurice, wonderful on the show today too.
Actually, good job for like having your director on the show. That seems like you're going to the next level, and I'm happy to be here supporting you.
And I'm happy that you're here too on the show, a part of the show. You came on the show only once last season, so I'm happy that you're actually a working function of the show now.
We argue a lot. It's a lot of banter back and forth, but we mean well.
Okay. All right. Well, thank y'all so much for tuning in for this episode of the Nerdium. Maurice, thank you so much for coming on the show. Matt, as usual, it's a pleasure. Make sure you guys stay tuned. Make sure you guys check out the B-Side on our YouTube channel, where you can check out all of the shows by the B-Side, including the Nerdium. You will get different shorts there, clips. You can also follow us on our Instagram page, so that way you can get behind the scenes with myself, the host, pictures, shots of the studio, everything like that. Thank you so much for tuning in for the Nerdium. I will see you guys next episode.